Coucou la communauté des French learners. Today we are speaking in English because it is the motivation break. The motivation break is about motivating you to continue to acquire French or any other languages, in fact, because it applies to any languages. And I get to invite French learners who are members on my site, aliceyel.com, and they share their experience with you, they share their journey.
aliceyel.com pour acquérir le français naturellement.
So today, I'm really happy to have Tina with me. And Tina asked me to start this interview with a little breathing. And in fact, that's what I recommend doing when you start watching something in French or reading something in French, or when you have a French class. Before that, to get relaxed, to be relaxed, I recommend doing some breathing activities also to help you to focus. And it's so important to be relaxed, not to be stressed out, because we might have bad experiences, past experiences with languages, and this may have an effect on then our journey with languages. And we can be stressed out, nervous because of those past experiences. So it's very important to enjoy. Alors Tina, on va respirer avec la main.
Oui.
N'est-ce pas?
N'est-ce pas?
On va respirer avec les 5 doigts de la main. Alors, tu es prête, Tina?
Oui.
On va inspirer, expirer, inspirer, expirer, inspirer, expirer. Inspirez, expirez. Inspirez, expirez. How do you feel now?
I feel wonderful. Not many podcasts start out with deep breathing. Only the motivational podcast.
Actually, you're right, you can also listen to this conversation as a podcast on my site, aliceyel.com. So, Tina, can you introduce yourself to the community?
Yes, Alice. Usually when I see Alice, I always try to think in French. But now I'm going to try to speak in English. So, yes. So, myself. I think the main thing is I'm retired. And I live in the United States. And I've lived here all my life. And I love learning. I've loved learning my whole life, Alice. I've always been in classes, always taking like certificates, different degrees, my whole life, during my whole career, just always in school, probably. And so when I retired, and that was probably about maybe 8 years ago, I kind of missed it. Kind of missed all that studying because, when you're working, you have a reason to study. You're going to get a raise, or there's something's going to happen, right? But when I retired, I couldn't quite find the right thing, the right hobby, the right activity. First, I started cooking and gardening, which I know you love, both of
Yes.
those things. And I I love walking. I'm a big walker, and swimming. I love swimming. But I never found that activity kind of like to engage the brain. And speaking a foreign language was the furthest thing. And now I live in the middle of the country. So
where do you live, Tina?
Indianapolis, which is like the very middle. And my husband's not big on traveling, so probably traveling is probably out of the question. And we're kind of content in our English ways, like why bother to learn a foreign language? Not like you people over there in Europe, you have every reason to learn a new language.
Yeah, right. But how did you learn French at school, Tina?
I only took one semester in college.
Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Right. And but learning a language, it was just like I had no interest in it. No, even I didn't think it was possible. And maybe there were several reasons why. I think when I went to college, I had a native French, some very young French teachers from France. Yeah. And I think they expected me to be able to learn dictation really, really quick because they started dictating the very first semester. And it was like, I had no idea what they were talking about. It was like, oh my gosh. It was like a foreign language to me.
Yeah, of course. But Tina, dictation is a big thing in France because of the spelling, which is so hard. The French spelling is difficult. So from a very young age, as soon as we can write, we have dictations. I mean, myself, I had a dictation every day to help me improve my spelling, Actually, but I was fluent. Yeah, I'm a native French speaker. Not like you.
Right. I could tell even back then. It was like they expected people to be able to do this dictation, and all the students just kind of sat there stunned, like what do they do? What are these teachers doing? It's like, well, first of all, we never take dictation, ever.
You have spelling tests,
yes,
right?
We have spelling tests, right?
But it's not a dictation, it's just words.
Right. Right. Just, and yeah.
It's different.
Very different. But I noticed that the second time, the professor, she said, go look on page 45 of the book or something like that. She goes, there you'll find what I'm going to read. So we all then memorized what she was going to say in the dictation. So the next time we got 100%. So everybody was happy.
But was it a stressful experience then for you?
I guess because it was just, my mind just kind of went blank. It was kind of like, this language stuff is not going to be for me, this language stuff. And then I had a brother who went to Montreal. Yes. And he lived there a year, and he came back from Montreal, and he said, yes, I just don't have a talent for learning language. And then I understood, it's genetic. I just don't have the foreign language gene, right?
Yes. Many people think that way, Tina. So I'm really happy you are honest and you're sharing your experience, because many people, you know, even in my family, I know people like they say, like you or your brother did, like, it's in my genes. I don't have a talent and that's it. And they don't even try. So what made you change your mind then?
It was you know, it was like I saw the light. I was listening to a podcast by Ken Coffman. And I don't know why, Stephen Coffman. Stephen Coffman. And I don't know why they recommended that for me, except I'm very interested in foreign cultures. And of course, he is also, and he's a polyglot. And I was totally taken away about how much he loved the process of learning a language. And I said, I got to have what he has. Whatever this guy has experienced, I got to have it in my life.
Wow.
And to go from totally not wanting to learn to speak a foreign language to doing it every single day from one podcast.
Wow, Tina, that is amazing.
It is amazing.
I just love it. I love it. Because you're gonna, I'm sure many people who are listening to us now are gonna get so inspired. And it's true that Stephen Coffman is doing an amazing work. He's doing an amazing one. And he's also showing to people that, yes, you can do it, even if you are like you retired, because also many people think, oh no, I'm too old for this.
Right,
you know?
Right, exactly.
I can't do it, too old. And Stephen Coffman is the proof, the evidence that you can do it even if you are old, you know?
Right. And I love how Steve, it's not about the grammar, it's not about the spelling, it's about you and I communicating, having a conversation. And I guess I did always have confidence. Like if I was on a deserted island and there was only a person who could speak one other language, I would be sure I could learn to speak that language, because I just love to interact. I love to learn things. So if that was the case, you know, I could teach them my language and they could teach me their language. I always knew that, at least that about myself, that if I, you know, was, but, and I've always loved words. And some of my favorite words were always the French words that had the same cognate as the French.
What are your favorite words in your favorite French words then?
All your, you know, the 60% of the American language that's intellectual are almost all go back to the same cognates. And it's like, oh, wow. And the other thing I was thinking about was, I fell in love with your French artist, the Impressionist. When I was 12 or 13, I fell in love with the Manet, the Renoir, all the Pisaria, all those wonderful French artists. And as a matter of fact, that's the first thing I remember buying from the store is a book of French artists. I mean, it was like, that was one of my most precious books, was the Renoir book of paintings. And so, of course, I always held in my heart this love of the French. But I do have to say, when the teacher came to speak at college, I had never heard French before. And I was like, isn't that kind of nasal? And where are the consonants? I was like, this is kind of a weird, like.
It's true. It's true. You're right.
So it took, now I think it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful language. But I have to admit, when I first heard it, it was like, some part of it, the language is missing, you know, our hard consonants that we love, you know. Yeah.
But I really like that you say that you were you love the French culture. I think a language is also a culture, and it's also an emotion you have about the culture and about which is with the language, which is connected to the language. And when you have an emotion about it, then you are also motivated to acquire this language, to acquire this culture. So so from one podcast, from
one podcast,
you decided, okay, I'm gonna learn French.
I'm gonna learn French, and then I started almost every single day. That was probably maybe 3 years ago when I heard that podcast. And
how did you start then every day? What did you do every day, Tina?
Well, you know, learning a language is kind of a circuitous adventure. It kind of winds around. You try things out. You know, you see what works. Now, not Ken Coffman. I do have a friend, Ken Coffman. Steve Coffman. He learned languages basically auditory. And my ears are, I had to learn through the visual and learn to read first.
Okay.
And so I first tried Steve Kaufman's style of learning through the auditory, and it was going nowhere. I could only listen to
what were you listening to? Sorry, what were you listening to?
Steve Kaufman has on his website some
yes, he has a link queue,
link queue, right? And he said, all you do is start with this intermediate mini stories, he calls them, and after you listen to it 30 or 40 times, you'll start to you'll start to be able to hear them. And I listened to it about 30 or 40 times, and I'm like, I'm not hearing it, Alice, you know.
It's what you couldn't understand the stories?
I couldn't hear them. It was sort of like my brain just kind of went turned off.
It was like a noise, yeah?
Yes, noise.
That's what we call noise. Like
noise. And as a matter of fact, the noise was painful for me. Like, because my mind was trying to understand it, and it was like, and I think instead of trying to understand it, it just turned off. It would just go, So I had to go through the visual pathway, and that was very much unlike Steve's approach. And I was hoping that I could follow Steve's approach, because this is where I got my love of this, trying to learn this. And Steve speaks all kinds of languages, Russian, and he's trying to learn Turkish and Persian. And the next thing I tried was, I went back to, since I've always been in school learning, going on tests and learning, getting gold stars, getting the 100%, way, I win, yay. I went to Duolingo because I could win. I could do my little exercises, my little grammar exercises.
Yes.
And they would give me gold stars. And I could say, oh, see, I know how to do this. But I did that for a while, but I wasn't making very much progress. But I did it every day, but it was maybe 15 minutes a day, or maybe 20 if I was lucky. But I was, still at it, not knowing how long this was going to take me to learn. And finally, a YouTube came up from Alice's site. Woo! And of course, Alice, I fell in love with you instantly, which is so easy to do. uh, uh, but it was funny because I would listen to you and your stories, Maydor, and all your wonderful stories, and it was like I was suspicious.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. She's pulling the wool over my eyes. That's an expression. She's blindfolding me. She's leading me astray. She's picking out only English words, and then she's acting like they're she's picking the French English. She's picking the French English words and putting them in a story.
It's not my fault if 60% of the English words are in fact French, huh, Tina?
Well, I guess I didn't know that because I was like very suspicious. I said, yes, I know I could listen to Alice all day, but I'm never going to learn French. I was like, that's not going to work. That's too easy, too much fun. I was understanding it, where I told you with the Steve Coffman, I wasn't understanding. With you, I was understanding it.
Yes.
Not everything, but enough, But my brain, and that's one of the things about being an adult learner. You have to have the reason. You have to understand things. When you're a kid, you don't have to understand things. But when you're an adult, you want to know why. And I didn't trust your process.
Oh.
Because I never felt like I was a subconscious learner. What is she talking about? I learned by getting my 100% on my test, my gold stars. Where's my gold stars? And what changed me was your videos on Crescent.
And you could understand them because in those videos I speak French.
Well, I might have. A lot of times when it's a complicated video, I'll put on the transcripts in YouTube that
yes, in English. The subtitles in English from YouTube.
Right.
Because we don't put our subtitles in English. We have chosen not to translate.
Right.
Because on YouTube, the public, the viewers are from everywhere in the world. And I don't know, of course, the main language is English, but I prefer not to
Sure.
Otherwise I could translate in, I don't know, in 1,000 languages. So, and YouTube does the job quite well then.
Oh, yes, good enough.
Yeah. Okay.
They might be 80%.
Well, that's okay
the auto,
then.
Right. But all of a sudden, then I was totally, just like with the Steve Coffman, when you explained it to me, all of a sudden it was like the second fire lit. And it was like, oh, I get it. And so I instantly went and registered for your site, because before I was kind of like, well, I'll just listen to her videos on YouTube. I don't need to sign up for any site, Yes. But then when I understood how we learn, and maybe you could explain a little bit about the Crescent method. Let's see. I'm not sure I can explain it, but it's basically how we acquire languages.
Yes.
And we can acquire them subconsciously without putting a lot of grammar rules and spelling and all that. And I've always been interested in how people learn. I always thought that when people struggled with things, I always thought, how could we make it so that they could learn it? I've never been a teacher. I've always been kind of more in the computer science world, but I was always interested how people learn. How how to turn those things around. And when I heard that, I said, okay, I get it. And now I'm a card carrying member, as we say in the United States.
Yes, you are an active member on the site because to the people who are listening, you are every Saturday, you are on the community live. With other members of the community, and you are the leader, really, Tina.
Well,
you organize it, you are selling it to the members, you are trying to get more members to attend those lively chat. It's a chat like on Zoom. Well, it's not on Zoom, it's on Jitsi, but it's on the site for members only. And can you explain what you do during those hours on Saturdays?
Sometimes I think I have a little stubborn streak. I'm stubborn. It's like, to me, this is the best challenge in the whole world. How do you get a bunch of people together who speak different languages, different age group, different genders, all across the world? How do you, and all different levels of speaking French, and then not being French yourself. When you host, Alice, you're using your skills, not only French, but your hosting skills. But it's really difficult to host in a foreign language
of course.
It's kind of like a real, mental challenge. And it's like, how do, and I'm so proud of all the people, courageous people who show up, because it's like, who's going to show up to, do this, try to speak and put themselves right out on the line.
Yes, but it's amazing because every Saturday people show up, and then I see in the chat, in the community chat, that people are really enjoying this hour. They share their journeys, they share also things in French, right? They do shows and tells in French.
Right. And it's sort of like having a whiteboard or a blackboard, and you can scribble whatever you want and play. Because we really don't have any rules. I mean, and it's like, how do you make something fun when it's like a sandbox, that you can play in?
I like this image.
It's a really, but your website is so fantastic. You are so professional, and your dear man, whatever he does, he's a magician. I was going to do something simple. I was going to do like a story on a whiteboard. So for my Saturday. And so I was getting the whiteboard out, and I was going to do your drawing like you do. This is simple. I said, I'll just draw like. It was so hard. The glint of the whiteboard keeps glinting in the camera. And it's like, how does Alice do this so professionally, so constantly? It really, and then when you do your cultural interviews, where you go to the different sites in Portugal.
Yes.
There again, the level, Alice, is just amazing, amazingly high level. You've achieved so much.
Yeah, it's true that it's difficult with the lights. But it's we want to provide high quality content also, because
and the website is so deep. The deep learning in the website. There's many stories. I mean, and yeah, and even though I probably work on it maybe 30 to 40 minutes a day, I'm still not anywhere near to the bottom of the website. It's not like, uh, yeah, it's kind of a mystery to me how you did that so well, so fast.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad. But so, Tina, what is your routine now using the resources on the membership? What is your routine now every day?
Yes, I start with a cup of coffee in the morning.
Yes, that's good. That's good.
I get up at about 6:30 in the morning, you know,
Wow.
and it's kind of dark here in Indiana, and I get my coffee and I kind of crawl over to my easy chair, you know, and then I read the chat first because I got to see if there's any new gossip, you know. Anything? Am I missing out on anything? Did Kay do anything newly amazing, or did Diane? You know,
Yeah, you can watch Kay's interview
I
on
have.
YouTube.
I have.
Yeah, you
Yes.
have. I'm telling to the people who are
Oh
listening, if you
yes.
haven't, watch Kay's interview
Right.
too.
Yes.
She's also very active on the community
Right.
chat, and it's true
Right.
that this chat is so wonderful. People are sharing, uh, like you say, gossips. They are also
And
sharing tips,
oh
links.
yeah, I'm being
It's
facetious.
yeah, it's really, really good. Yeah, very useful.
Right. It's not gossip. And
No, but we are joking. We are
yeah,
joking.
we are joking. And I'm not a Facebook user. I'm not Twitter. I don't do any of the social media other
Mm-hmm.
than YouTube a lot, but I don't think that's really social
That's
media.
not, yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of odd even that I picked up chatting on your site because it's not my thing really. uh, but people, you know, and also the members on the community, they are very special people. I mean,
right, right.
they're very creative.
Mm.
And they think outside the box. You know, they yeah, that's a way of saying, you know, they do things, they really think for themselves, or they think on their own 2 feet. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think they have inspired me.
Mm.
That's because I was at the 20 minutes a day with the
Mm.
Duolingo and the
Mm.
Steve Kaufman.
Mm.
But your site, all of a sudden, after I listened to the question interview, and then now I probably spend maybe an hour and a half a day trying to learn French. I mean, it's,
Wow.
yeah. So it's like, and that was maybe about 6 months ago, 7 months ago when I,
That's amazing, Tina. And
right.
it's also because of the other members, because you meet them
Yes.
every Saturday, you chat with them,
Right.
yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, and that again was a total surprise for me, Alice, too, because I didn't expect it to be social. You know, I have enough social stuff in my life, so it was sort of like, uh, and I'm a kind of an introvert, so it's
Mm.
like, or I can be an introvert.
Mm.
I'm not always an introvert, yeah, but I'm, you know, when people were complaining about COVID, I was like perfectly happy. Like, what's wrong with this story? I can go for my walks. I can do my French, you know. Um, uh, so, but yeah, the people are inspirational.
Yes, true. It's true. I've met
Uh,
so many myself. I'm so grateful because it's an opportunity. Well, it was an opportunity, in fact, for me and for my dear man to meet wonderful people like you. So we are
aw.
so grateful too.
Yeah.
Really, you say in English, it's a win-win, win-win deal.
Win-win, right,
It's
right,
really,
right.
it really is a win-win, Tina.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
learning
so,
also so much from you. I'm also getting motivated to learn, to acquire other languages.
yes,
Thanks to you.
I,
You are now, I'm like, wow, you are spending 1.5 hours every day. Okay, I can do this, you know?
right, 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 right. Yes, and that,
So,
I think that's the fun part too, is the social, which I never expected. And when you go on these, I've been to other sites where like italki, and it's kind of exciting, the whole social aspect, which it was just kind of new for me. It was, uh, um, yeah, yeah.
okay. So you said you grab your coffee.
Uh-huh.
You every morning, yes, your
Right,
hot coffee. You sit in your chair, in your comfy
right,
chair.
right,
You look at the
right.
chat. That's the first thing you do.
Can you believe that? What? Don't tell anybody. Let's cancel this. Yeah, I need a life, maybe.
No. No, that shows that you are really you're getting yourself motivated to start. I
Right,
think that's a
right.
good way. Yeah.
And then I do your suggestions for the week. You
Ah,
have
yes.
7 or 6 suggestions for the
Yes.
week, and
Mm,
each day you have
mm,
a suggestion. And now what I do is, if it's an easy one, I
mm,
just will listen to it and read it, one time through.
mm.
Now, let's say it's harder. I'll slow it down because your dear man,
Yes.
he put the
Now we
adjustment of
have
the
different speeds. Yeah,
right.
exactly. So
I'll
you
slow it
can listen
down.
to it slowly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'll look up the words.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then sometimes I'll watch the videos,
Yes.
right? So I'm constantly like tweaking it for that, trying to get that sweet spot, which is like about 80% comprehensible.
Yes.
Yeah, about if I'm at 80%, probably for me, because if I get frustrated, that's not good. Probably even
Mm,
at 85%,
mm.
85%, comprehensible
Yeah, yes.
input. So whether it's using Google Translate,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that can make it that level for me, and
Mm,
that I'm enjoying it. And I think uh, that's key. And I think watching your own process, watching yourself learn, almost like
mm,
as if you were a teacher teaching yourself,
mm.
like you're a teacher, you have like a slow student, like a slow language student. How are you going to pull them along?
Mm,
You almost think of yourself as that. How do I pull this person, Tina, along in her process? You know, um, so sometimes it's changing up
mm,
and doing easier things. Sometimes it's doing more enjoyable things. Um,
mm.
yeah,
What do
yeah.
you mean by more enjoyable things?
Like that series Extra on
Yes,
YouTube, something like that. I'll listen to that
yes,
as kind of a fun kind of something that's lighthearted.
yes, it's
Uh,
really fun. Yeah.
right. Or am I try to go back? Now, The Little Prince is still a little hard for me. Now that
Mm,
it's getting there, but still it's over the 85%
yes.
comprehensive. Yeah, I'm still kind of having to look up too much. Uh, but that's a good change. Change
Mm,
it, and then so you're constantly looking at yourself. Am I frustrated? If I'm frustrated, I'll let something go. I'll
mm,
relax. I won't like beat myself up.
mm.
You have to get it, Tina. Get that grammar. um, Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
constantly listening to yourself as you learn. How am I feeling about
Mm,
this? Am I excited? Am I getting bored? Have I been sitting
mm,
too long? And I also, in my life, now that I'm retired, I try to change things from intellectual activities to physical
mm,
activities. And, so if I've been maybe sitting too long, it's go to the gym and work out. So it's
mm,
constantly kind of listening. Am I getting a little bit antsy? Then do this. Even,
mm.
getting up and baking a pie or cake or, something in the kitchen can be a
Yes,
nice change. Um,
of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's good. But when you go to the gym or when you are in the kitchen, do you also listen to French or you just have a break?
Now I know some people do, and I know
Yes.
that a lot of people have headphones on, and I know Steve Kaufman's a big one for while I'm working out, I'm
Yeah,
listening. I actually do the opposite. When I'm in French, I'm in French, and then when I'm walking, who knows where that brain of mine is? Somewhere out there. Uh, I'm just relaxing.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of been the approach that works for me. And, everybody's going to have to kind of look and see what works for them. Have
Mm.
you found anything, Alice, that works particularly well for you right now? Or in your learning, are you learning Portugal, right? And
Yes.
is
Well,
there
I
anything
try
that's,
to listen when I iron or when I do
there you go.
the chores, the housework.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I listen. I have um, earpods,
Right.
um, but otherwise, I also try to read. mm, to
Yes,
read
yes.
books. But
Right.
like you, when I'm walking, I prefer to enjoy the nature, the sound.
Right.
I don't like
Listen to the
to have,
birds sing.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
So, okay. So I'm in, and then, but Alice, what is interesting, I still do the Duolingo.
yes.
So I'm still after my gold stars. I can't give up my gold stars. I'm addicted to, I got to get my, and I got to get my little, I think it's just being in
Your
school
reward, yeah.
for
It's
so long. I've been in school and I've learned very consciously. Uh, and it's really hard to give that up. I mean,
mm,
and just throw myself into the, to the abyss. But, um, yeah, yeah.
yes. I understand, but I think as you said, you have to find your own way.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on your life, on your schedule also,
Mm-hmm.
you have this routine every morning, right,
Mm-hmm.
Tina?
Right. And I also have like an afternoon is my Duolingo. And then in the evening, I do maybe the extra
Mm,
type things, the inner French. And there are
mm,
so many resources. It's almost like
yes,
there's too much at this point. It's like, wow, there is a lot of resources out there. Um,
yeah, you're right. But so you've talked, yeah, your journey was really um, it took
right.
long, yeah, to find what really
Mm-hmm.
inspires you, motivates you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, did you have any downsides, any down points when you thought, okay, now I'm quitting. I quit French.
Uh, I never got to the point that low, like, okay, I quit.
Yes.
Um, but after I was doing my approach before I met you and your approach, I
Mm,
did reach a point where I said 20 minutes a day is not going to work for me. I know maybe if I had learned another different language, if this was like my third language or
mm,
maybe if I was younger, maybe 20 minutes a day would work for me, but it was not good. Yeah. And it was so exciting to really learn how to hear French. I'm still not listening to like newscasts. I still can't quite understand that. But I know that I'll get there. It's not impossible. Now, I'm not sure about my speaking. That's kind of like the next fun challenge is, how am I going to learn how to speak this language? I don't.
Again, you have to trust the process, and you need a lot of input. I mean, now it's really good because you're spending 1 hour and a half every day getting input. But as you said, I think it's when you start to understand the newscast. But I think that then
something,
yes,
it's gonna,
yeah,
because it's like when I talk, I don't go through my rational process. I go through the subconscious process. I can feel like when I talk, when we're speaking in English, I can tell I'm not thinking about, okay, what's the grammar here?
Exactly.
I'm just, kind of speaking. And I know I need to get to that point, but it's like when I'm speaking in the French, the brain still wants to intercede and say, okay, now go pick that right word. And right.
Yeah, it doesn't come out spontaneously or like in
Not
the English yet.
Right. Yet. But I'm trusting you and all my members of my community to get there.
But the other Saturday, when we had the book club about La Leçon de Chocolat, you spoke a bit in French, and I was quite amazed. It was the first time I heard you speak French. Tina.
Wow.
And I was
Great.
like, wow, you are making progress, really. So it's little by little. The thing with speaking, it comes late. And so we can get frustrated because we think, no, I'm not, I understand, but I don't speak yet. But if you look at when you were a child or children, it takes them 6 years to speak fluently in their mother tongue. 6 years of full input every day, hearing, listening to their caretakers every day. So it takes time, patience.
Right. Yeah.
And I think that's what we need. We live in a world now where we want things to happen fast.
Right. And I think, if learners can learn to appreciate their challenges and kind of look at it like a grand adventure, like maybe you're climbing Mount Everest or something like that. You're seeing your own limitations, and it's kind of wonderful to see yourself struggle. I remember the first Saturday, I think the Saturday community, I think it was, everybody was speaking what I thought was really good French, and I was like totally out of it. And I felt like a third grader. I was back in kindergarten or third grade or very young. And I was just like, when I was young, I wanted to pout. I was a big pouter, we called. And I was like, I never had felt that in myself since I had grown up. But when you confront yourself with these language challenges, you'll be amazed what kind of emotions will come up. Like, I can't do that. Wait, I've always pride myself on being competent, right? Or semi-competent, But so I think if people can enjoy that confrontation, enjoy the limitation, because it provides you an opportunity. How am I going to overcome that? Like the speaking challenge. How am I going to learn how to speak French. That's like all of a sudden that's like a neat idea in my mind. How in the world am I going to do something like that? And then just like the listening, finally, I'm hoping at some point you get to the point where, oh, okay, I get it now.
Yes, exactly. That's the same like, oh, okay.
So when you learn a foreign language, do you enjoy watching yourself learn the language, or does that not even make sense to you?
Yes, I find it fascinating. I find it, and like, I think you made a very good point, Tina. It's not only about the language, about learning the language, acquiring the language. It's also about learning about yourself.
Learning
Really.
about yourself, right?
Yes.
Right. And how kind other people are as you struggle, because you're so used to being confident all the time that that you're not used to being open to the vulnerability of other people helping you. And you do see how helpful other people are when you're like, trying to communicate.
You're making another very good point. Yeah, it builds your empathy. It makes you vulnerable, but then it builds your confidence too, and your empathy with others. Yeah, it's really a beautiful, fascinating process, I think. Yeah.
Right. And I think you mentioned that on one of your last podcasts, Alice. You said that you felt like it was important that language teachers be trying to learn their own language. And I agree 100%. And I was kind of thinking, almost, could it be the opposite? Should I be trying to teach someone English? Because then maybe I could even learn. It's like a 360-degree looking at this thing from all angles. How do you teach another person another language? I thought, is there anything there? And there's plenty of opportunities on like italki and that kind of thing. But
yeah, you're right, Tina.
What are the struggles that person is having? And maybe you could learn how forgiving the teacher really feels because yourself, how hard it is to speak a language. I'm sure when there's been times when you were in a foreign country or where you just
many times.
Right.
Well, Tina, it's really good, really so inspiring. That's the word. So inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, your experience.
Your website. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Give your dear man a kiss for me.
Okay, I will.
What do you say in French? Bisou.
Un bisou,
bisou,
oui.
Bisou for the dear man.
And please, those who are listening, who are watching us, share in the comments if you have had a similar experience as Tina had. Share in the comments your journey, your experience, your frustrations. Do you need, like Tina, to get your points and your rewards?
your gold stars.
Your gold stars. Do you trust the process, or are you finding it hard to trust the process of acquisition, of acquiring something subconsciously? Please leave a comment.
Oh, yes.
It's always very interesting to see how other people
absolutely
their
learning struggles, their learning journey. It's
yes.
I'll be looking at the comments too.
So merci beaucoup, Tina.
Beaucoup.
Merci du fond du cœur. Et remember to go to aliceyel.com to listen to this conversation as a podcast or to join us, to join the community.
Ah, yes. You could get the gossip on the chat.
Exactly. And
just think what you're missing out on.
And see Tina on the Saturdays lives. Okay. Thank you. And
Thank you, Alice.
à bientôt. Au
À
revoir.
bientôt.
Merci.